So as the cars now then take place, if he is going to join in, you can see how slowly he's going. That does suggest, I'm afraid, there is a problem. Comes down towards the chicane. Sue Derbyshire then on the front of the grid, and here is Neil Twyman, hopefully heading to the grid. So Neil Twyman comes into the chicane. Does he start at the back? Does he head for the pit lane? Let's see. Sue Derbyshire then on her own on the front. And I'm looking in the background there to see where the Alfa Romeo slots in. It's going to be on the track. Yes, excellent. So good luck, Neil, for the back of the grid in this delectable Alfa Romeo 8C. He almost had to do it from the back of the grid in race 1. It was certainly mid-grid when the car coughed into life. Now it's definitely at the back. The flag is waved, the race underway. And Sue Derbyshire leads then down towards Redgate Corner with John Guyot making a good getaway also in the Talbot on the inside line as they head down towards Redgate, and John Guyot grabs the lead. Well, the Alfa's got away well enough this time, Charlie.
Yeah, the Alfa's looking good on the back of the screen on the left-hand side, already passing 2 or 3, I would have thought, by the time he gets to Redgate. So loads of power in that Alfa 8C.
Whoops.
Going a little wide there at Redgate. It's the last thing you need to do, but these cars are so high up in the air, wouldn't even have felt that.
Okay, so John Guyot ahead of Sue Derbyshire then. Large ahead of Little here, the Talbot ahead of the Morgan three-wheeler, and Sue Derbyshire goes diving up on the inside line and grabs the lead. Great stuff going into the old hairpin. So the Morgan goes through into the lead of the race. 15 minutes this time, not 20 like we had first time around. So there's less time for Neil Twyman to do the hard work up from the back of the grid. So he starts last. We'll see where he is at the end of lap 1 as the top 2 are just starting to get away a little bit now. Sue Derbyshire then in the Morgan leading the way. The Talbot then in second place. This car in the hands of John Guyot turning its way now out of McLean's corner. And in third place you've got Trevor Sweet, who had a pretty good run in the first race then, accelerating with the Invicta up towards Coppice corner now.
Joshua Bibby just ducking at the inside of somebody at McLean's there, now coming into Coppice, and the move is stuck. So yeah, that started off quite a long way back there. Joshua Bibby doing a little lunge there, which is always good to see.
The other fantastic thing about this isn't just the history of the cars and the value of the cars, it's the different smells, it's also the different sounds, and it's the different shapes and sizes as well, isn't it? There is the Alfa Romeo there, Neil Twyman, who should have been on pole position, but that car now looks a lot healthier than it did on the green flag lap.
Yeah, Neil Twyman through Coppice corner just as he accelerates away past the camera there, really soaring at the wheel. You know, these cars are absolutely massive, hence our tweet earlier about the positive camber question. As they steer around the corners, we can see the different steering. So the Ackerman steering giving that car more grip and more steering and more responsiveness through those corners. So here he comes, powering down the straight, car number 14, Neil Twyman, entering Redgate corner. See if we can get a shot of his hands there, really soaring constantly at the wheel. It's a very, very busy place to be. Remember, they're not strapped in as well, so a very vulnerable place to be as well.
We've had a change for the lead. John Guyot's back ahead of Sue Derbyshire, and 10th at the end of lap 1 for the back of the grid was Neil Twyman. He's got 5 minutes less, of course, in this race. As I said earlier on, it's only a 15-minute race, so 5 minutes less to do the hard work. But if the two leaders carry on squabbling, another place is gained there. Looked like Neil Twyman on the inside heading through the old hairpin. He should be able to catch up to them because they're at McLean's. He's coming out of the old hairpin. So going very, very well indeed, working his way into contention. John Guyot leading the way as he comes now up towards Coppice. The lock up there, little trace of smoke. John Guyot at the Talbot ahead of Sue Derbyshire as they accelerate now off down towards the chicane once again, and somebody going very, very wide there. Another place about to be gained, I think, by Neil Twyman. Yes, he gets himself up one further spot, doesn't he, heading up towards Coppice now. Gets himself past the Bentley. Nigel Batchelor's car, that is.
Well, it's a good move. He's getting some good footage on there. If that was a big sponsorship liveried car, he'd be getting some good exposure, wouldn't he?
Just booms his way through the traffic, doesn't he? The much more powerful Alfa Romeo then with his 2.6 litre supercharged engine, the Vittorio Jano designed car. The leaders come across the line then. Best lap of the race, of course, now the first flying lap done by John Guyot, who is a second and a half to the good over Sue Derbyshire. And Trevor Sweet is third, and Neil Twyman is what, fifth this time, coming out of the chicane. How about this? Comes up towards the line and the car slows once again. So having got himself up to fifth, look, they all come pouring past him once more. The problem has struck, and that's almost stationary, isn't it? It limps out of the chicane this time. Slowly makes its way past us here on the start-finish straight, and hand in the air, I think, turn right, retire the car. Great shame that, Neil Twyman with a problem.
Yeah, that's a real shame, and that big puff of black smoke as well shows that that car isn't fueling as it should be as well. So unless he's really enjoying it, just fancies having a little go on the grass, because he seems to have
picked up again.
Cleared it a little bit now.
Yeah.
He seems to think that it might have some dirt in either the pipes or the tank, and maybe going over the grass has just dislodged it a little bit, maybe.
Well, the good news is he's back in the race. He's not going to be a winner now, I'm afraid, because he's so far back, but hopefully that car can get to the end. The leaders are heading up towards Coppice. Something coming out of the Morgan now.
Yeah, that isn't actually a lock-up. That does sound and look like it's more mechanical engine-wise. And a great move up the inside at Coppice. It's sort of David and Goliath, really, looking at this shot. Can't quite see from this angle, but Guyot's got a little bit more grunt than she has.
And there's a lot of Talbot to get past if you're in a Morgan. It's a much longer car, so down to the chicane they come. And the Talbot, it is up front then, comes out of the chicane. John Guyot leading, Sue Derbyshire in second place. They go powering now over the start and finish line once again.
So this is the Caterham race. These two have been long gone. You know, no situation with towing cars. So we've got Guyot and Derbyshire. Derbyshire actually, a little story about her. These cars compete in hill climbs as well, not only on race circuits. They compete in different rallies all over the world. And she actually, in the Morgan, beat a 250F Maserati, which is pretty much unheard of, you know. A Morgan beating a Maserati just doesn't add up, but she's done it, and she's getting a bit of a name for herself all over Europe in this three-wheeled machine.
And you can see why, can't you? Going so well here in second place. The 4-litre Talbot up front. Meantime, the Bentley turning its way to Redgate. Nigel Batchelor's car this, the supercharged Bentley, and that's currently running in 5th position.
That's great, with those flames coming out the back of that. You wouldn't want to get too close, would you? Which, as he approaches Craner Curves, again, David and Goliath getting a flamethrower out the back, just warming up the car behind.
And the car behind is Barry Foster's MG Monterey from 1931. As we said in the first race, the car taking its name from a circuit, Riley Brooklands, so the French circuit of Monterey giving its name to the MG, or MG taking the name from the circuit. But certain parts of the circuit, that's going to be good right through the corners where it's more nimble, but in a straight line when the power of the Bentley tells it's going to be dropping away, isn't it, by a fair few lengths. Now, is the Alfa Romeo still going? Because yet to come through is Neil Twyman. I have a horrible feeling that car may have stopped again out on the circuit. Barry Foster has been racing that MG for many, many years now. He is a real master of it. Has barely missed a season for decades. Hugely experienced. The car originally registered, in fact, up in Scotland, has a Lanarkshire registration plate on it. Leaders come through, 8 more minutes to go, and a second between the top two.
Yes, and also Derbyshire really pushing hard there. Sue doing a cracking job, still concentrates. You see even 2 hands on the right hand side of the wheel just to get that car turned into Redgate. So she must have some pretty big arms on her after these race weekends, because these things aren't easy to handle. They are very big, heavy machines. Not cumbersome, I wouldn't say, but a little bit of a challenge around this twisty, flowing, undulating, beautiful Donington Park circuit.
She comes then now out of the old hairpin, not quite able to stay with John Guyot, but well clear by nearly 15 seconds of Trevor Sweet, who is in 3rd place. Nick Pellet is 4th. Nigel Batchelor's Bentley, we've been looking at, is in 5th, and Barry Foster's MG currently running in 6th spot. As look at this, under braking, Sue Derbyshire out of nowhere closes right up onto the back of the Talbot. Looks for a way by now as the cars head uphill once again. So it's the 4-litre 6-cylinder engine Talbot Largo in the lead, braking now for the right-hander at Coppice.
Yeah, she has a gear stick on the right-hand side, which is externally out of the car, and there she goes, slips up the inside again on the inside of Coppice, but again the power of Guyot there just ekes away, so she must be really demoralised there. But she has a gear stick on the right-hand side, which is outside the car, and inside the car she has like a rear brake, which is like a ratchet lever that she can use the rear wheel to brake as well.
So the race leaders coming over the line, and this is a great battle for 8th and 9th places, with a man that we saw in the gravel on the first lap of the first race, Andrew Bush, fighting for all he's worth against James Potter. Their Riley's having this great tussle at Redgate, and this is coming up towards Coppice then on this, for them, the 5th lap of the race, and it is Bush ahead now. He's managed to force his way by, so Andrew Bush going much better in this race than he did in the first one, keeping out of the gravel, with the Riley TT Sprite replica. Comes down towards the chicane, still being chased by the Riley Brooklands there, you can see in the hands of James Potter behind him. But I think now that he's got through, it rather looks as though Andrew Bush is going to be able to build this advantage as they turn their way through the chicane. 6 more minutes of the race to go, and despite Sue Derbyshire's efforts, again in a straight line, the more powerful Talbot able to pull away, and that's exactly also what Andrew Bush is doing now, up into 8th spot. Now he's lapping quicker than Barry Foster's MG Monterey ahead of him, so there is the potential, I think, for another place to be gained before the end here.
Yeah, it's a real shame for Twyman, our pole setter, and great result from the last race. Is she going to have another look? She's going to have another look at Coppice. No, not this time, but she's definitely putting up a cracking fight here. So first and second, David versus Goliath, young lady versus young man. What a great battle they're putting on for us here today.
The real strength of the Morgan seems to be going into McLean's, doesn't it? Because that is where she can break so much later. As we see there, this battle between the Rileys changing again. Look, because James Potter goes back ahead of Andrew Bush for 8th place, going down towards the old hairpin. But yeah, McLean's is where Sue Derbyshire seems to be able to break so late, if break at all she does, and get right onto the tail of the leader, John Guyot.
Yeah, McLean's is a great corner, especially for a lighter car as well. So you're coming wide from Swanch Curve, you're not letting the car run too wide, which is this corner we're talking about now, and then she can get a really good run into the corner due to that light Morgan.
And there you could see Andrew Bush fighting the Riley coming out of McLean's corner. Of course, these very narrow, very skinny tyres don't give a great amount of adhesion and road holding, but he conquers that, comes through Coppice, much tighter line there than James Potter ahead of him, so these evenly matched Rileys continuing to squabble as they head now down the straight towards the chicane, Park chicane. They're going to be side by side, in fact. It was the chicane in race 1 that was the undoing of Andrew Bush, but he's got himself back ahead, hasn't he? Indicator on, but he's gone through, up once more into 8th place.
Yeah, look at those wheels, the front wheels really working hard there with the buckling around and a bit of oversteer on the back end as he goes over the bumps on the exit of the redesigned Donington chicane, making the straight longer, so a lot quicker down the pit straight now, making then the Brave can brake just as late for Redgate if they dare, but it has made the straight a lot quicker.
A lot longer, and of course a knock-on effect of that is that the gravel trap at Redgate is much bigger than it used to be, because you've got cars arriving faster, and once again arriving a bit too fast there. James Potter runs out wide over the curb, losing a length or two, so 3.5 more minutes of the race remain, and John Guyot up front looking as though I think he's pretty much now got the measure of the Morgan. This is a replay of the Riley, sorry, Charlie, coming down towards the chicane once again. You can see how everything has to work on that car. Look at the wheels.
That is absolutely, what a brilliant shot when you see the close-ups of the Formula 1 doing exactly the same thing, seeing the car wallowing around under load through that very challenging new chicane.
So here is the race leader, John Guyot. He's in the traffic. Sue Derbyshire still chasing. The gap has come down a fraction. Down to 1.4 seconds there. Hard work behind the wheel there. Sawing away, John Guyot leading the race. Sue Derbyshire in 2nd place into the last 3 minutes. We have an MG with a problem, I think, there, by the look of it, and that is Barry Foster, who was running in 7th position, but slowly making his way round, and I think he's bound for the pit lane here in the 1931 MG Monterey. There's the leader, John Guyot.
John Guyot, yeah, looking like he was
a handful that car is, doesn't it?
Yeah, sorry, David, looking like he was really soaring through the wheel there at the old hairpin. I got a bit excited there. I saw a bit of action, so apologies for that, David. So she's coming up into Schwantz Curb. We've got Guyot there. Look at the hand movement on the wheel. And there, if it wasn't for the back, look, where is she? She's vanished behind the back marker. So this is next lap. Let's have a look at next lap, see if she can catch up. That's where she catches up through McLean corner. Now coming out of Coppice corner, she's really leaning out of the car, both hands on the right-hand side of the wheel. Very physical cars to drive these. They're not strapped in as car 8, which is Bibby. Getting a little slide as he exits the old hairpin. Here we go.
The Talbot of Norman Pemberton that was getting in the way involuntarily of Sue Derbyshire. So it'll be a slightly slower lap for her this time around. 1 minute and 3/4 remain. They're going to be starting the last lap soon, therefore. Josh Beebe, he's great value in this car, making his way up now towards the right-hander of Coppice. It's sort of a latter-day Martin Stratton, this, isn't it? You think about when Martin Stratton came into VSCC racing, this was how he used to drive, and this is what Josh Beebe was like at the old hairpin.
Look at this, so turns it in, throws it in, and has a massive slide, you know? Who says old classic cars aren't fun to drive? Look at that, has a proper slide, it comes back the other way, he corrects it again. Yours, mine, to me, to you, and then job done. He gets it done, and he looks like he's having great fun in that car. He's probably just drifting it just to get some extra coverage on the TV and enjoying himself as well. He's with his dad today, and his dad's been helping him out with the car. I've been having a chat with him throughout the day.
Here are the race leaders now. No traffic this time going up towards McLean, so let's have a look, Charlie, and Sue Derbyshire, see if she can close up under braking.
Yep, there she goes. She appears in shot straight away. What a massive chunk of time. He either needs a bit of tuition round McLean's from her, or this car is going to be absolutely on fire through here. So is she going to make a move on this last lap? Let's see.
Trouble is, long straight now should favour the more powerful Talbot, but here she goes on the inside, they're level now. But has the Morgan got the grunt in a straight line? I don't think so. And frustratingly, Sue Derbyshire has to watch John Guyot just powering past again.
Yeah, very frustrating, but fair play to her. What a fantastic battle so far.
And if she can get a good run out of the chicane, you never know, because again, under braking for the chicane, she closes right up. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. The flag is there, and is it going to be waved? Yes, it is. John Guyot, who comes through then to win the second pre-war sports car race provided by the Vintage Sports Car Club. 0.8 of a second, the winning margin from Sue Derbyshire in second place. But things behind are yet to be resolved as well, because we have at the moment third Trevor Sweet, but is it going to remain that way as the cars head down towards the chicane? Coming through now, Trevor Sweet turns his way, having just put a lap on number 92 there, Richard Bradford's Riley Brooklands. Next Kate on car over the line then will come Trevor Sweet for third position, and behind is Nick Pellet, and then this for fifth is the flamboyant Josh Beebe. The car barely in a straight line race long, powering his way up towards the line, and Nick Pellet does take fourth place. Josh Beebe comes home in fifth after another very spectacular drive in the Fraser Nash TT replica, the 1932 built car. Comes home fifth, and sixth should go the way of the supercharged Bentley here, because the Wimbledon driver Nigel Batchelor, there he is on target for sixth spot. The Rileys, after the demise of Barry Foster's MG, promoted behind to 7th and 8th, comes through, spitting flame on the overrun, and so the magnificent Bentley comes over the line, the 4.5 metre car up now for 6th place, but Andrew Bush not that far behind him at the end, look, so a good run for 7th from Andrew Bush, just 0.9 of a second back at the end of another intriguing race for the pre-war sports cars. The flame still spits out of the back from the Nigel Batchelor Bentley as the cars turn their way on the slowing down lap down to the trailer curve. John Guyot, the race winner, 0.8 ahead of Sue Derbyshire. Trevor Sweet finishing in third in the Invicta. Nick Pellet's Talbot 105 is fourth ahead of Josh Beebe's Fraser Nash, and Nigel Batchelor, as we've just seen, comes home sixth in the Bentley. So John Guyot's second race of the day is a win, and there is a sorry sight, a troubled Alfa Romeo for Neil Twyman, race 1 winner. Started at the back of the grid at the flag start, and as the cars accelerated down towards Redgate Corner, straight away Neil Twyman was working his way through traffic, but he didn't get very far before the problems hit. 10th at the end of lap 1, 5th at the end of lap 2, and then this fuel pickup problem, if that's what it is, a repeat of the dramas at the start of race 1, intervened yet again, but rather more seriously, and so the car coasted over the line. We had a good Riley battle between James Potter and Andrew Bush, the two of them trading places, and Andrew Bush working hard behind the wheel of his wheel juddering Riley as he came out of the chicane. Up front, the real talking point for the race lead, John Guyot versus Sue Derbyshire. Talbot versus Morgan, power versus agility, and on this, the last lap, the Morgan levelling as they came out of Coppice Corner, but didn't have the power to stay alongside in a straight line and the run down to the chicane. So John Guyot comes through as the race winner. Sue Derbyshire celebrating her birthday with a second place in the three-wheel Morgan. So some interesting racing from the pre-war sports cars, a very varied grid, wonderful spectacle they have provided at Donington, and a rare opportunity for them to race outside the regular VSCC programme. VSCC organising races as well as hill climbs and sprints and trials. John Guyot is the winner of race 2 for the Vintage Sports Car Club's pre-war sports cars, and there in the collecting area to have a word as he takes off his crash helmet is Jenny Gow.
Yes, congratulations to you, John. Did you feel like a bit of a bully in that? Sue did such a good job, but you managed to keep it.
Sue kept me very, very honest, didn't she? So I kept on watching her creep up on me, and I thought, better get away from here.
Every time you came up to McLean, there she was again, right behind you.
Absolutely, she's the magic driver. We've driven many, many times together, and it's nice to drive with someone we can lock wheels and not have any worry with each other's driving.
And this, a beautiful car. Just tell us a little bit about her.
It's a 1938 Talbot Lego, which is the French Talbot, and it's the sort of the last version that they used before the war at Le Mans and in racing.
Well, congratulations on the race. When I have to say, Sue, congratulations. I can't tell you how many tweets I have from people. E21 Register says, Sue Derbyshire drove a cracking race in the Morgan, brilliant. Is it possible to say hello to the three-wheel Morgan driver? Awesome work there. And also there's one here, how can the three-wheel Morgan be in front? Everybody's so proud. First of all, happy birthday. And how hard was that every time coming up thinking, yes, I've got him?
Oh, he is so hard to beat. He is absolutely awesomely good. And I learned a lot from him.
Well, congratulations to you both. They're amazing. Let's get Eleanor to come on and bring in their champagne, their trophies and their laurels as well. On behalf of all the marshals and stewards, congratulations guys to our winner and a very well-deserved second place race.
And a great performance, as you've all been watching, from Sue Derbyshire. Fantastic effort that to finish in second place. John Guyot, the race winner. But there is Sue Derbyshire receiving trophy and champagne, deservedly so. And a gallant race winner in John Guyot. So Sue Derbyshire comes home in second spot at the end of the second pre-war sports car race. We've got 2 more races still to look forward to here at Donington Park. Yet more Caterhams are next after the break.
We'll dive in and grab a quick word with our race winner, John Guyot. John, you have to work hard for that one.
I thought you did have to work. I knew if you could beat me on the corners. I had to be in front on the corners, otherwise I was lost.
Yeah, off the line, you seem to have the extra power off the line, of course, and through the corners, you say, and on the brakes, the more the doors have to do it quicker.
Yeah, but off the line, you've only got one wheel, remember, to drive. I've got 2.
Went one better, or went 2 better than race 1 as well. We took that in race 1, wasn't it, with yourselves, Neil Twyman and Sue again. So it was a lot of fun in race 2.
We look forward to it. I think Neil had another petrol tap problem again.
Otherwise, a reliable car for you this weekend.
It's usually, I did change the oil from last evening.
And that's about all. Congratulations. We'll go a good word if we can with Sue Derbyshire as well. Sue, you've got absolutely everything.